I want to welcome all of you to NextCore. If you're not familiar with NextCore, we are a nonprofit. We are an incubator facility that's located in Rochester, New York. We run several international groundbreaking programs like Luminate, as well as regional programs. We are also a manufacturing extension partnership program. We're one of the largest and top performers for manufacturing support in New York State. So we have a lot to offer startups as they navigate the complex challenge of manufacturing their products. But we're basically have a sole mission to help technology companies launch and grow. And one of our core programs is Luminate, which we'll talk about today. But you might also have questions about other programs that we offer that could be beneficial to your startup. So please put those questions into your Q&A too if they pop in. If you would like to join other info sessions, Damon, if you could go, yep. We have several coming up in the fall timeframe. It's very beneficial sometimes to hear the founders' perspectives of what it was like to participate in Luminate. So in November, we will be having a session with some of the winning founders from cohort 7. In December, we're going to repeat this info session. And then in early January, Damon will come back and he will give tips for putting in a robust application so that you can improve your chances for consideration into our program. So today, I'm really happy to have my colleague here, Dr. Damon Deal. He is head of technology integration for Luminate. And he's going to walk you through all of the good things that Luminate can provide to startups and how we're differentiated from other accelerators that you might have experienced out there. And he'll also cover our investment fund, which I'm sure all of you are very interested to learn how we can help fund some of our startup activities. So Damon, take it away.
Hi, as Holly said, my name is Damon Deal, and I am the technology person here at Luminate. I have a PhD in optics and from the University of Rochester here in Rochester. Today, what we're going to do is give you an overview of what Luminate is and then talk a little bit about the application process. As Holly said, we're going to have some more seminars later on, but this is what's going to be giving you the immediate overview of what we're doing. So to start things off, I want to give you a look at what Luminate is. And we are two things. We are both an investment fund and a startup accelerator. And we are the only startup accelerator in the world that is focused on optics, photonics, and imaging enabled applications. And so that means that we're not just optics companies. So it's not just optical manufacturing or optical measurement. We have all sorts of technologies that are enabled by that. So you can think of medtech, you can think of communications. And so basically anything that has light or image processing in some way in it is of interest to us. We have been going for 7 years, and you can see our portfolio if you look at the portfolio subfolder on our website. At this point, we have 75 companies that we have invested in, and remarkably, 93% of them are still in business, and 42% can qualify as minority, women, or Black-owned enterprises. And we, as I say, we dig deep when we are looking for applicants. We want an application pool, and we want that looks like the face of the United States. And so we go to great extent to find a diverse population of applicants. The estimated value of our portfolio now of those 75 companies is $675 million. So that is pretty substantial at this point. Again, over the course of 7 years, we built it up that much. And our companies, when you look at the 93% success rate, What it comes down to is that $281 million that our companies have been able to raise in terms of external funding. And that can be in the terms of investment or in grants, but raising that kind of money is why our startups are able to stay in business. Let me give you a video here, overview.
Luminate is both an accelerator and an investment fund. There's this huge ecosystem that they can be a part of. We grow here, we bring in more technologies, we bring in more businesses, we bring in a diversity of people and engage them with all that this region has to offer from an optics and photonics perspective.
We wanted this to be the biggest accelerator in the world for optics and imaging.
Luminate's really allowed us to build much deeper connections in the local ecosystem and to solidify our presence here.
Luminate has provided us with unprecedented access to amazing resources.
Everybody cares about how we solve people's problems. This is a value creation, and this is what Luminate has taught us.
I've been around the optics space, applying it to different markets. You don't see a lot of facilities like this, and this is really unique.
We identify 10 early-stage startup companies from all over the world. We bring those 10 companies in, invest $100,000 into them because they have such great ideas.
We have received expert advice, amazing workshops, sessions, and we have had a lot of fun while we are doing it.
I've always recognized Rochester as literally the center of the universe when it comes to photonics and innovation when it comes to optics.
In 6 months, they go from being a really cool tech concept, early stage startup to really a functioning business.
We have been very excited to be a part of the Luminate program because we are looking to manufacture a photosensitive chemistry. And there's nowhere else better than Rochester and upstate New York to do that.
In other programs you get generic advice, but in Luminate we really got in-depth guidance by people that know the field.
We have that much faith that the company's great and it's going to grow and it's going to hire people.
Luminate provides us invaluable support to mentors, resources, and potentially open doors for new business opportunities for us as well.
The Luminate team introduced us to quite a few investors, quite a few medical centers around in the Rochester area that could significantly help us.
We have an enormous amount of infrastructure here. I think that's why Rochester will succeed in this optical photonics and imaging initiative.
We've learned so much from seeing other people in their growth and how they've dealt with problems that maybe we're going to be dealing with.
It's helped me grow as a CEO in ways faster than I expected.
Luminate has been really a great experience. The only regret I have is not doing this 2 years earlier.
We put further investment into one or more of the companies, up to $1 million into a single company. It's going to return both financially as well as economically.
If you have an investment community and a critical mass of startup companies, it becomes very sustainable for a long period of time.
Some of the technologies that these folks are working on could have some pretty significant impact on the world. All entrepreneurs have to do is come here and start working. From co-working to offices, we've got wet labs for people that need laboratories. We've got prototyping shop with 3D printers and laser cutters.
You come here and you're part of something. You're part of a community that will help you financially. It will help you with your overall satisfaction with your business.
Like I was saying before, what we are looking for is companies that have optics, photonics, and imaging as the underlying technology, but that leads to a race of industries. And you can see it there on the left-hand side, the range of companies that we have invested in the past. And we invest in deep technology, and even the software that we have invested in is for technologies that are still deep technologies. So our software development is things like designing quantum systems, designing meta optics, and we are thinking much further down the line than a lot of other investment funds are. We have a competitive process to get into Luminate, and we are an international program, and we are We now have a rolling application process, so you can apply to the program right now, and the window is going to close on January 10th. We have typically about 130 applicants, and the first phase of application is to get down to the 20 to 25 companies that are going to pitch to our board of advisors. And so it is competitive to get into being one of those companies in the 20 slots. And we'll talk a little bit about applications later on. And as Holly said, we'll have another presentation where I give people my tips for having a very strong application. After the selection process, we get down to 10 to 12 spots, and we offer those positions to companies. And for the ones that accept to be in the program, we begin the program in April. So this will be April of 2025. And the financial support that we offer is that we have $3 million that we invest total each year. So the first thing that we do is for those 10 companies, we invest $100,000 in the form of a safe note. And if there are more questions about that, I'm going to pull in our finance analyst, Anjali. After the 6 months of intense business development, we have another $2 million that we invest. $1 million of that always goes to one company, and then we have another $1 million that we divide between 3 or 4 other companies. And also over the course of the year, in terms of fundraising, is that our companies get to speak directly to 30 or more investors. For example, this morning, our companies were doing what we call a 5x5 pitch, where they have 5 minutes to speak to investors, 5 minutes for Q&A. And that was all of our companies participating, and they were talking to 3 different investors that we had curated because we know that they're interested in funding deep tech. We have a really phenomenal advisory board, and I won't go through the names here, but the people here are luminaries in the optics industry on 2 levels. Most of them, all of them have some sort of background in optics or the optics industry in one way or another. And they also have industry in entrepreneurship. And we also have Dr. Tom Brown, from the director of the Institute of Optics, who joined our board just last year to bring us more in touch with the technology transfer coming out of universities and helping to make assessments on that. We also have a significant partnership with Silicon Catalyst, and that is the world's only incubator that's focused on semiconductor solutions. And we have had 2 of our companies that have gone through, actually, I think it's 3 of our companies that have gone through Silicon Catalyst. And we have an opportunity for dual enrollment, which is driven by conversations with them. And also Silicon Catalyst just announced that they're going to be able to do their own funding. Historically, they worked more or less in kind with helping people do fabrication setups, tape outs, things like that, for those of you working in the semiconductor industry. And now Silicon Catalyst is going to be able to put money toward the program, and then in some ways piggyback off of the training that we do here at Luminate. There are 3 major things that people get out of participating in those 6 months of Luminate. And one of the first things is the mentors and the education. You saw before that we have that impressive group of advisory board. We pick 2 or 3 people on that advisory board to be a mentor for each of our companies. And that gives you a diverse perspective. We're careful to balance that out so that people have representation usually for the core technology they're working with and also the market that they work with. And the way that our program has been termed as far as education goes is a crash course MBA, because the time commitment there is that every week, twice a week, for 6 months, our companies are taking an intense business development class. And our goal is that every company that leaves Luminate is investable. So regardless of whether we put more funding into that organization at the end of the program, we want to make sure that they leave our program as an investable entity. And that means building out a due diligence folder that an investor is going to be able to look at to appraise the quality of the company in terms of its investment. And so to support that, every class that we teach is chosen because we are using that to support our companies developing that due diligence folder. It is by far the thing that companies value most from getting out of Luminate. A few years ago, people started to say that Luminate was the prize, that we do have funding that we put in, but the reason people really apply to Luminate now is to get that level of mentorship and that level of training where our courses are geared toward, they're put together by individuals who have an expertise in the optics industry, and we have chosen a curriculum that specifically helps to start companies that have that as the underlying technology, because there are unique challenges that companies like that face. To that end of kind of the unique aspects of being a company with optics as the underlying technology, we do have an optics lab, and that is a fully equipped optics lab. And we also have on our site a makerspace that has fabrication lab and 3D printers. NextScore has wet labs, which is a very unique thing for a startup incubator to have. And we also have the general sort of incubator facilities that you would expect in terms of office space, deck space, desk space, shared cafeteria, things like that. We're also located in a beautiful building downtown that has other resources in the building. And finally, we have a media lab. Holly, who is our chief marketing officer, one thing that we put together every year is that every company has a detailed promo video that's made, and you will see the results of that if you attend the finals that are going to be 2 weeks from now. And also, we have a podcast. And so we have a podcast that will feature every company that is in our program, that goes out to all of the people who are subscribers to the Lens, which is our newsletter, which has a very broad distribution to people in the industry and the markets that are relevant. The thing that makes the reason that Luminate is the place that it is because we are located in this cluster of capabilities. And the map there on the right is a view of the companies and resources that are available in New York State. And that is very distorted because the largest amount of those are located here in Rochester, New York, actually. What I tell people is that Rochester has been doing optics since the 1840s. And so you may have heard some of our startups like Bausch & Lomb and Kodak and Xerox. Those companies have all grown out of a core capability of optics manufacturing that has existed in Rochester for a century and a half. One of the first things that we do in our program is that with the New York Photonics Cluster, we have what's called a fast pitch event. And that is where all of our new coming startups get to speak to all of the members of the New York Photonics cluster and start to make those initial contacts as far as assistance in manufacturing. And there is a broad range of capabilities of these members of the photonics cluster. There are optical mechanical and electro-optical design and prototyping, and those are kind of magic skills. For anyone who's developing an instrument that has optics, photonics, or imaging as the underlying technology, there are very unique concerns that you have in terms of the manufacturing, the mechanical design, the assembly design, the electrical design that all need to be taken into consideration. And you need to be talking to someone who has an expertise in that in order to optimize the cost of manufacturing. And the other thing that we have is that because of the universities here in Rochester that also have a big footprint in optics industry, optics and imaging. So there you're going to be thinking about the University of Rochester and the Rochester Institute of Technology. Rochester Institute of Technology has a very strong imaging program, has a very strong color science program. University of Rochester is known for a lot of really basic fundamental optics principles. So a lot of our companies do collaborations with the faculty there in terms of research. And we also have state and federal research facilities that are located here in Rochester that we help our companies build up relationships with. As far as applying to Luminate goes, the companies must have at least 2 or more dedicated team members. The reason for that is that a company that has fewer than that isn't really going to be able to take full advantage of what we do. We need a C-suite that we're training. You need to have a technology that is operating at the lab scale. You need to have your C-level membership be able to participate in the program. And like I said, the program is hybrid. We're getting to that in a moment. The program is hybrid, which means that over the course of the 6 months, the companies come into Rochester for 1 week in April, May, and June. We generally have July off. There's another week in person in August, and then 2 weeks in September. And we need to have someone who is in the leadership of the company come to those events. It does not need to be the same person every time because there are different needs that someone may meet. You may want to have the chief technology officer come at some point. You might want to have your operations officer or your CEO. That's fine as long as we have someone from a C-level leadership here for those week-long internal sessions where we really help people build out relationships with one another and with the region. The application process is carried out through a platform called F6S. If you go to the Luminate website and go and click on the apply icon, which will take you to the apply page, it will walk you through getting started on F6S if you're not familiar with it already. And what we're going to be looking at in your profile as you're filling that out is you're going to be giving us detail about your company. You're going to be giving us detail about your structure. You're going to be giving us information about your technology. You also have an opportunity to make videos, which are a very important part of the application process. You want a video that is going to tell about your team, and then a video that is also going to tell about your technology. Also, if you are doing your F6S application thoroughly, then there are videos that you can apply that you can make for your F6S profile that we're also able to see. The application process is the things that you want to focus on. Again, we're going to have another session on how best to apply to Luminate. But the application is deceptively simple. You have a limited amount of space. And in that limited amount of space, we want to know the problem that you're solving and also why that is important. We need to understand your technology and how you're differentiated from other types of solutions. And we need to understand both what you're hoping to get out of participating in Luminate in terms of the resources available in our area, but also because we are an economic development program, if we fund your program, what is the benefit that we're going to be able to see in the optics and photonics industry in New York State? The timeline for the application is that the application window is open now. You can start that F6S application now, and you also can ask us questions during this period. The application window is going to close in January. We go through a very detailed selection process. We are not a pitch competition. And so we will make that decision in March. And then in April, the Accelerator program begins. We operate for 6 months. And then in September, we have our finals.
Damon?
And yes.
it might be a good time. We did have a question come in about that.
Sure.
Are applications rolling in the sense that the submitted application could be reviewed and accepted at any time, or will applications only be reviewed and accepted after the close of submissions? So I just want you to go over that again so that it's clear to the person who asked the question.
Sure. And so the answer to that question is that we are not making selection processes before the window closes in January 10th. The reason we have the open application window is so that when we talk to people as we're promoting the program throughout the year, that we're able to point some place somewhere specific for them to get started, instead of saying, oh, wait until September when the window opens. But we hold all those applications so we can make a fair decision about all of them when the application window closes in January. And these are the sessions that will be coming up at the end of the year. We encourage you to register for them when the registration becomes available, so you get reminders. And the next one coming up is going to be an overall view of talking to us as the Accelerator staff about what we do and to accelerate the startups. After that, we're going to have graduates of Luminate program be able to talk about what they got concretely out of this. And then just before the application window closes, I'm going to have a final seminar to help people get a good brush up on what their how to strengthen their application to be the best it can be.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Damon. I think we can take a few more questions now. So if you have questions, please pop them into the Q&A. I see a couple more that
I need to do my optics. There we go.
Oh,
Got
yeah.
my light back on again.
There you go.
And move my hands.
So one person has asked, would it be possible to get the list of members in the New York State Photonics cluster mapped in the regional resources slide? I think, Damon, you and I both can laugh about that because there actually is a big poster about mapping that, and we'd be happy to send that to you. But there's over 160 optics photonics imaging companies in the Rochester region alone. And so we do have a lot of depth and breadth of that expertise that exists here that would be beneficial for organizations to be able to tap.
Yeah, there's two things. As Holly said, we can send you that poster, and also I have a fairly recent list of the membership from the president, and I can, if you remember me, Holly, I can get that together.
Yeah,
I
we'll
might want to
send
clean
that
it up
along
first.
with the recording. I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
And then, there is a question in here as well, Damon. Can you go into a little bit more of the time commitment that it takes to participate in Luminate, given the fact that we are trying to get our startup off the ground?
Yeah, it is a time commitment, but also it is things you should be doing. So we are helping you build out your due diligence folder, and you should be doing that anyway. And we are training you to do something that takes a couple of hours of a few hours of commitment every week. But then your follow-up that you're doing for that is things to make your company strong. We don't give you busy work. And it's a challenging program to be in, but it is very, very rewarding.
It's so true. And you'll hear this from the founders if you join the next session. But as a marketer, I always go back and say, why did you come to Luminate? And almost everybody says, because I needed the funding. But everybody says, but I came and I experienced it and I left, and I will tell everybody it's because of the curriculum and the support that I got. We like to say, once you're a Luminate company, you're a company for life. As Damon showed at the very beginning, we do have a high percentage of startups that are continuing to be in business past the industry average. And we'd like to think that it's the support that keeps them going and keeps them tracking. And one of the things you didn't talk that much about, Damon, is the manufacturing accelerator component to our programming. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I think it's really important for them to understand how we support the commercialization of their products.
Sure. And NextCore has had a manufacturing accelerator for a few years now. And what we did this year was we pulled that entire curriculum into Luminate. And what that means is that from the beginning, our companies are working with a team of people here at NextCore that do an early assessment of the manufacturing readiness level, the technology readiness level, the commercialization readiness level, and help companies put together a plan, and also are very good at helping connect people to resources that are available here in the region. And there is a remarkable team of people at NextCore that is what they do. I have a knowledge of the optics industry, both from an academic and from an industry side, but there is so much more that goes into making products beyond that underlying optical components. And so we have a group of people who are experts on that.
Perfect. We have another question, and I was giggling. Why not make your tips presentation a bit earlier so we have time to incorporate them? I think David and I will tell you is like we've been doing this program for years now, and what we can say is like we watch the pipeline, right? You have people coming in and looking at the application, and then I would say 80% of the entrepreneurs that we work with or see in that pipeline submit their application in the last week because they're notoriously busy with other things. But what I would tell you is it's a great suggestion. We'll take it under consideration to offer the tips session earlier. But if you have specific questions, what I would do is reach out to us on luminate.org. There's a contact form. We can schedule a one-on-one meeting. If you have questions about that, we can certainly walk you through some of those tips. So if you want to get it done earlier, you can have the same advantage. And then we have another question for the Story Tech videos. It wasn't clear from the description. Is it 2 videos or one that covers both? So
it is 2 videos. Yeah, you get to make 2 videos. And so you have one video that can focus completely on your team, and another video that can focus completely on your technology. Basically, what you need to do is convince us that you have a team that's going to be qualified to do the program, and that you have technology that is at the readiness level. There is a sweet spot for participating in Luminate. And one thing where we're able, I tell people, this is not in the marketing, but I want us to be your last accelerator, right? So that by the time you're done with Luminate, you have a due diligence folder. And a large number of our companies at that point go off and have successful fundraising where they don't need to go and do more of an accelerator program. But there's a tipping point where a company's at the right spot, and companies do apply to Luminate more than once, and we encourage that. We will give companies, if you ask us for feedback, we will do our best to give you some feedback on your application, which is a big lift for us. But we're not for profit, and business development is at the heart of what we do.
Great answer. And then we have one other question. I have a business degree. If the curriculum is more business focused, is it necessary to go through that?
We have had companies of various level, and the answer is yes, right? But the reason has been, so for example, we had the person who founded Silicon Catalyst do our program, right? And he did all of it because he was able to contribute as well. A big part of Luminate is that relationship building. And all that it means, if you have some experience already, is that you'll learn new things. Again, we've had we've had companies who came in and said there were aspects of this we never thought of before.
Yeah.
And there are, Luminate was founded because there are unique challenges that face optics, photonics, and imaging companies. And we are experts in that technology and in that industry. And we help companies that on all sorts of levels that are facing unique challenges because of that.
Yeah. And I would just clarify too, is like when we say business, you know, businesses in general, but a lot of our instructors have been out in industry and have developed very specific methodologies that you can learn and implement to get to your first sale, to get to your first partner, to understand when times are tough and you have to make critical decisions around staffing, how to deliver that feedback in a constructive way. Or even like some of our favorite classes are in meditation of how to slow down and understand how to deal with the stress that comes with building a business. So, you know, it's very comprehensive with the focus on including all of those aspects that are needed for investability so that you look attractive to investors and you can get the funding to move forward and develop your product. So I don't see any other questions coming in. Let me just check. I see several thanks, and I just want to say back, thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us through the general contact information on luminate.org. We're here to answer your questions, and we hope that you find that this might be a good fit and submit an application.